Hello everyone. So we have already done what is data integration, what is ETL, what is ELT, why we need to go for a cloud native tool. Today we would be going through the session wherein we will have a little more introduction into the Matillion ETL and overview of the ETL architecture. Okay, the practicals would start from the next video. Okay, so let's get started. To start with the introduction, what is Matillion? What does it offer? We have already covered this. It's a cloud-based integration and ETL tool that enables organization to extract, load and transform, basically ELT, data from various sources into the data warehouse or cloud-based data platforms. Now, what does it offer? It has two things to offer. One is Matillion data loader and the ETL. Basically, in data loader, we will be having provisions to load data. Okay, and as the name says, ETL will help us with the ETL process. Now, what is ETL and what are the features? So, let me look into this official doc. These are few advantages and all that, and the important features which I already discussed in the previous session. To quickly name few, it's a drag and drop interface. It supports ELT, and you can see your data previews. You have version controls, you have multiple connectors that makes life real easy, and you can generate documentation automatically, and because it's drag and drop, it's very easy to use. What do we need when we are working with Matillion is, one, to connect to our instance of Matillion. We can do it through EC2, we can do it through GCP, and we can do it to Azure as well. Once you are connected to your Matillion, you can have a project based on your Snowflake. This will be our data warehouse. Okay, you can use Databricks, you can use Redshift, BigQuery, or Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay, that is all. Like I always mentioned, always refer the official documentation, and here's a link. So I'll always keep this notes. Once I'm done with considerable amount, I'll be hosting this on my GitHub, and I will share the link in the description. Why is Matillion a good choice to consider? Again, I'm repeating again, that is easy integration, easy learning curve, and it's on cloud, which means you have cost control and data security. While you know it's important, you would like to know some success stories, right? So while there are many success stories on the Matillion website, this is one that struck me because this is what we commonly use, Slack, where we work, communication portal. Slack, what happened there was their existing data warehouse did not support incremental load. So by the time their team received data, it was already 30 hours old. Okay, and the current process was very intensive. They were using Airflow and Python scripts for ETL. But it needed too much of development, and it was not scalable. So what they did, they used the combination of Looker as BI tool, the Snowflake as the data platform, and Matillion as the ETL tool. With this combination, because Matillion has custom provision for Snowflake, the setup was pretty fast, and you have lot of Matillion pre-built connectors which you get at no extra cost. Okay, you are paying the main subscription as well only. And what was the result of all this? While there are many other advantages, time is something that you cannot buy, and the decreased time required to create critical matrices for up to 6 hours to just 30 minutes. That means you are getting such a fresh data, right? That's what I wanted to show you. And going to that's the basic intro to Matillion. To go ahead, now to go into the architecture, so I will explain this basic architecture. This would be more than enough, but if you would like to know much more in detail, I will go through the other three architecture as well. Now, what does this show is, Matillion is over here. It will extract the data from the whatever sources that we have, maybe the APIs, the application, the database, the files, any NoSQL database as well. It would extract the data, it will load it, and it will transform it and then provide it to any of your BI tools to get the analysis and to work on the ML and the AI. Now, Matillion sits on various options like the Snowflake, Redshift, BigQuery, like we already saw from the official website. This is all the support we have as of now. Okay, that's just the flow and the basic architecture. Now, if you want to get into detail, there are three types of architecture that it supports. That is the single node architecture, the single node and RDS architecture, and the clustered architecture. So if you want to read the official documentation regarding this, this would be the page. And let me explain it to you. What is the single node architecture? The single node architecture, what happens is Matillion is installed here. Okay, Matillion instance is in the VM that is placed in the single subnet of the network inside the cloud account. Okay, and this is done so that data will remain private and stay entirely within our control. The the Matillion instance itself is a Tomcat Apache application. That is, application is installed in Tomcat server. The Matillion metadata. Now, what is the metadata? Like the job configuration, job properties, and the schedules are stored in the same VM in the RDS. That is, and that the RDS chosen here is the Postgres SQL. What you need to conclude with this is Matillion instance is over here, which is inside the subnet in the cloud, and in the same space is where the metadata would be sitting. So when extracting from the data source, it temporarily when you are extracting the data, it temporarily stores the data in the S3. Now what happens at failure? At failure, you will lose access to the application. Obviously, when there's a failure in this particular area with this cloud, you lose the application access to the application until your instance is fixed or restored. But you are not losing any source data because you are always picking the data on the go. You cannot fix your if you cannot fix your in instance, your configuration will only be up to date as per your last backup. Okay, because after that it was down and we have not taken any backups after that. Now what are the cons? Cons is Matillion would be the single point of failure, meaning if something fails at this point, we are losing data, our process stops, and we are reliant on the backups, and there is a downtime to this. What are the pros? This is the simplest and the quickest type of deployment, and it's easiest to set up, and it's a smaller architecture footprint. Okay, so when would be used? So generally this is used when you are taking in the Matillion trial, right? So when you're trialing is when it is used, and when you just want a simplest and easy deployment, this is when you go for it. Okay, now the next one would be the single node RDS architecture. Nothing, I know the footprint is bigger, but it's the same thing if you see, but just that for the metadata we have a HA that is provisioned. Okay, to get into details, when it is used, it's needed when there is a need for real-time storage of Matillion configuration. And how does this happen? It's because of the HA. If you are already aware of the cloud, how the cloud works and the terminologies. So if what it means, if one goes down, one availability zone goes down, we always have the other. Okay, and since the metadata is always saved here, we are less likely to lose anything, right? Just that we might lose access to the Matillion. Matillion metadata is stored in external DB with HA. This gives some resilience if we have a failure to availability zones, but would require to relaunch the Matillion instance from the backup into the new availability zone. Okay. Similar to single node, Matillion instance is placed in the single subnet, as you can see, but Matillion data is stored separately from the instance in the remote DB. On the AWS, the Matillion server logs are forwarded to the CloudWatch service, which can be used for additional work over there. And what happens now in this case, what happens at failure? We will lose the access to the application obviously until the instance is fixed or restored. There will be no loss of job configuration. Why? Because if not here, it's getting saved here, if not here, here. Okay. And what would be the cons? You're still relying on backups of your virtual machine, and again, because you're done a HA, you have, you would be looking at an additional cost related to the database service. Yeah, the prawn obviously is, if there is any failure of your Matillion instance, there's no loss of job configuration. Okay. Next setup would be the architecture. Now, like before, where the metadata Postgres was in 2 availability zone, now Matillion itself is in 2 availability zone. So you can see the resilience now, right? It's much higher. So when is it used? A clustered architecture is generally used when the customer needs high availability of their job code as well as Matillion ETL application. So they need both. Now, because it's this also includes load balancer, and load balancer is used to redirect users to current instances. Okay, this is an enterprise only feature, multiple Matillion instances in different availability zones. Load balancer redirects the user using the round robin technique. Here Matillion is clustered. Okay, that is the core services, so job runner, job scheduler, user interfaces are shared between the instances. Okay. What happens at failure? You will not lose access to the application. Instead, you will be directed to the another available instance via the load balancer. If you see, there will be a primary and standby, right? So, but because this is clustered, what will happen is load balancer will redirect you. If you were using this and something went wrong here, load balancer will redirect you to here. Okay. Any jobs running on the broken instance will rerun on the available working instance. Whatever stopped here will continue here. Next is, what are the pros and cons? The cons is larger infrastructure, right? So it means more cost, right? What's the pros? The high availability of Matillion ETL, and you don't lose any job configuration in the event of failure, and you have an increased capacity, meaning you can run multiple jobs concurrently, because then even anyways the load balancer is gonna manage the load. Yeah, that is all I had for today. I have gone through an intro to your ETL, and we have gone through the basic architecture, the top view, and then individually we have gone in detail regarding the three architectures. How to select this architecture in the UI, I will also be doing it, but in the next session after we set up the Matillion ETL. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you.